There's not a community anywhere that is immune to disasters.
Entire streets in Jakarta have been
Category 5
submerged.
storm hitting the Bahamas, heading for the south. One of the strongest Atlantic hurricane recorded.
7.8 magnitude.
Catastrophe in the South American country of Colombia.
Hurricane Eta, one of the most powerful storms to hit Central
Pakistan
America.
is droning. Millions of people are affected.
Erupted, spewing clouds of dense
Super
ash.
Typhoon Rai.
One of the country's deadliest typhoons ever. The extreme rains and winds forcing citizens to scramble for
Those
cover.
flames ravaging the historic city of Lahaina, once the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Is the same thing that communities around the world are facing. Our goal is to make sure that those that have been impacted by disasters around the world have the information they need to get response to them very, very quickly. Everything that we've done here in Hawaii in our own backyard to support my family and the families of everybody that works for PDC, we're also going to do for your family and for the families of our partners in the Bahamas and in Panama and in Indonesia and Palau and Ghana.
Flooding is our number one issue, certainly. That's our number one hazard. We have fires as well. There is more flooding in Ghana now than it used to be 20, 30 years ago. We also have threat of disease epidemics and pest infestation as part of our hazards, but they are not as pronounced as that of floods. Remotely too, we have earthquake threats. Over the years, gathering of data has been very, very challenging, especially when these data centers are scattered. So what we are doing with the Pacific Disaster Center will go a long way to help us, because already you have your application already, the data that you have trained some of our staffs in. And it is one-stop shop that you can get any data you want, and you can also upload data. And through that, you can be able to get proper perspectives as to what applies to your area. So the project is going to be so beneficial to all of us, especially my organization, not only my organization and our first responders too, who help us in our disaster management efforts.
We know no bounds, so this is open to all, and our commitment is to early warning for all, data science and technology for all, in an effort to really build these resilient communities. Right now we have over 33 countries that have participated in the baseline assessment, and that's continuing to grow. So the baseline assessment is more than just an assessment. It's actually a process through which we work with our partners to assess risk, vulnerability, the coping capacity of the community, and work to identify ways that we can better prepare for disasters and reduce overall losses or impacts if something does happen.
The Pacific Disaster Center has been supporting us with the National Disaster Preparedness Baseline Assessment. This could help us further target areas where we could actually increase the resilience of our member states. When we have information on where these hazards could turn into disaster and what could be the potential impact of these hazards once they become disaster, these are very powerful information that we could actually use so that they could devise ways to mitigate the potential effects of this hazard so that it won't become a disaster. We are not just talking about the short-term effects of a disaster, we are talking about the long-term risk resilience that we would like to implement here in the ASEAN region.
PDC does not do an assessment to a country, we do an assessment with a country. We're sharing ideas, we're sharing lessons learned, and we're amplifying the capabilities in every single one of these countries to be able to build resilient communities in the way it looks to them, in their view.
One of the major hazards we have is hurricane, massive flooding, sea surge. We're in the business of saving lives. So the baseline assessment has been very useful on just about all of the islands. It allows us to make more detailed, specific decision-making as relates to each individual island and not as a whole Bahamas, in the sense that individually the islands now can make preparations as relates to the topography of their land, the flooding, and those specific hazards that will affect their particular island, especially within the hurricane season. In the baseline assessment, a recommendation was made, and the government has actually acted upon it. And through that, we do have a merger that we're doing with the help of IDB, so that when we're building, we can build back better. As we move forward within the region and internationally, we would be able to prepare, mitigate, and respond more effectively so that our recovery could be even more resilient.
PDC is very lucky to have a very strong network of partners, many of which are island nations. We've had the pleasure of working with the best and the brightest of scientists, of researchers, statisticians, the health community, the education community.
That is what this partnership is about with the PDC and projects. It will go a long way to help us strengthen our network and the knowledge, the sharing of information, and looking at best practices.
The first prize goes to Pacific Disaster Center.
The UN Sasakawa Award, PDC won that in 2022, and it's the top award given to agencies and organizations that are doing groundbreaking work to build more resilient communities. So we're really trying to make all of the data and efforts to build a safer world and bring it together in a way that can be operationalized in countries around the world. As we're working in Djibouti and Sierra Leone and Peru and so many other places around the world, the data and information can immediately be used to support all of the decision making and help to prioritize the most life-saving efforts. The opportunity to meet these individuals and to hear their exciting stories and to leverage the work that they're doing, that has been inspiring to me. It's been inspiring to the team, and I think continues to keep us going as we see how much work there is to continue to, protect communities and build that safer world.